Hey, insanely awesome nation, Sunil Saxena coming to you from actually in front of my house right now. So I'm out here shooting in the golden hour. Hopefully this video looks good. Let's see. Anyways, what I want to talk to you about today is what I call persistence. It's a very kind of word that's thrown around a lot, kind of easily used, but it's something to be, take very, very seriously, because what I would say, and what most people agree, experts who talk about success and how to be find the success that you desire, is that persistence really trumps almost everything. It trumps talent, it trumps intelligence, it trumps, opportunity. It really trumps everything, because those who are persistent are the ones who are going to succeed in the long run. And what I want to do in this video is just talk to you about a few more specific concepts about persistence. But I want to start by saying it really, really is the most important thing. I'll take someone who has persistence over, again, someone who has the most talent, the most education, the most smart, whatever you tell me, I'll take the one with persistence. I think we all know people who've really, had all the talent in the world, or been kind of touted as the next great thing, and they never amount to anything. We see that example in sports all the time with the various drafts, NFL, NBA, and baseball drafts, that you get a lot of people who are supposed to be the next big thing, but really end up becoming sometimes just nothing. Literally, don't even play in the league. So just want to start by saying that's a very, very important concept to keep in mind. So work on your persistence, and that is something that will definitely pay off. Now, the other concept I want to talk about that's related is a concept called grit. Angela Duckworth, in her book entitled Grit, if you haven't read it, pick it up, go get it. As soon as this video is over, go get the book. You can Google it or just go to Amazon. It's really a very important concept, and it really is talking about persistence over a long period of time. That's what grit really is. It's applying yourself in a focused, energetic, passionate way to the same thing over a very long period of time. That's how you achieve success. It's it's something that's really important. It's something, if you don't have, you need to develop. That's something I can tell you personally. I really never felt like I had grit. I would kind of work on something and then not have success within a year or two, then kind of move on to the next thing. And there's a number of reasons behind that, which I'm not going to get into this video, but let us say that, once you get grit and you put your mind to something over a long period of time, that is really when you will be successful. And my example when I did have grit was, my medical training, where I was able to, complete 4 years of medical school, 4 years of residency, that's 8 years of training. And really, before I felt like I was a good emergency room doctor, it was really 5 years of medical practice. So it was really 13 years for me before I really felt like I was kind of really good or kind of mastered that profession. And, for me, it was really the fact that I kind of had to stay there. So that's why I put those 13 years in, because financially it was something I had to do at the time. So whatever the reason behind it, I kind of put that sustained effort into it and became really good at it. Now, I would urge you not to have something that you have to do, but something that you love to do and still develop that grit. That's really how success happens. Success is something that, as Malcolm Gladwell talks about, as 10,000 hours, as I talk about as 10 years. The numbers don't really matter as far as exactly, how long it takes to be successful or to master something. But I can tell you, it just takes a long time, and you really have to have grit. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk to you here about is related to persistence, is the I will persist until mentality. To me, this is something that's very, very important to develop. It's something that I probably didn't have 10, 20 years ago, but have developed over the last so many years. It's just the right way to think about everything, all your goals that you want to achieve. Now, the opposite of that is this kind of I'll do X if Y happens kind of a thing. A good friend of mine always comes to mind here, so sorry to throw him under the bus, but I'll let him be nameless at least. But essentially, the way he always thinks, and I've known him for many years, is kind of like, if I get into medical school, then I'll become a doctor, or if I get so many patients in my practice, then I'll open up a second one. To me, that's not really the right way to approach life, and you won't achieve high-level success if that's your mentality. If you were meant to be a doctor, that's part of your why and your inner being, and that's what you want to do, then you have to say, well, I'm going to do whatever it takes, and I'll persist until I get into medical school. If it happens in the first try, great. If not, I'll apply to every medical school in the country or in the world, and I'll keep trying until I make myself better and I get accepted. That's the right mentality. Similarly, you know, from a business standpoint, if you say, well, once I get a certain number of customers, then I'll do something else. Now, that's a good metric, like an inflection point in your business to say, okay, once this happens, then I'll do the second thing, but not if that happens. It's when it happens. So if you need a certain number of customers, or your first store has to be doing a certain amount of revenue to open the second store, and your dream is to have multiple stores, then you keep persisting. You say, I will persist until the first store reaches this metric, and then I'll go and open my second store. So that's the right way to think about life. That's that persistence mentality. That's the I will persist until mentality. So hopefully this helped, because again, having this kind of, you know, inner belief or inner foundational way you look at the world, that is what's going to really allow you to be successful. If you're always looking at the world like, oh, you know, I'll kind of do it if I get in, or if this happens, then I'll do that. That is the wrong way to look at the world. And I can, you know, keep going on about example after example, but you know, basically it's just really important to have this persistence mentality, to understand that persistence will trump everything. If you just keep at it, it will trump everything. So the last story I just want to leave you with before we end this video is the stonecutter. And you know, I've heard this through many books and other programs, but essentially, you know, an older stonecutter was saying, you know, to his son who was struggling. His son kept, you know, hammering at a stone, and he just couldn't get the stone to break. And the stonecutter finally, you know, the older, wiser one came and said, look, you know, you just have to keep hitting it, because what's happening is every time you're hitting that large stone, you know, it's going to hurt. That hit, when you hit that hammer hits it, it's just going to like bounce back at you and almost feel like nothing is happening to that stone. Yet that stone there's micro cracks. There's little things that are happening to that stone that eventually, when you keep hitting it, it's just going to explode into a million pieces one day. And that's the right mentality, is that when you're taking, you know, as I call massive action, sometimes it feels like nothing's happening. It just feels like that stone is just taking that hammer and throwing it right back in your face, even though you're hitting it as hard as you can. But just remember, there are small changes that are happening that you might not even be able to perceive. And eventually one day you're just going to whack that thing and it's just going to explode. And that's the analogy that you're going to get everything that you ever wanted. Your dreams will come true. So that's the way you have to do it. Just keep putting the work in, keep persisting. Have grit, have focused effort over a long period of time, and trust me, you will get all the results that you ever desire. So again, until the next video, make sure you go out there, be insanely awesome every day, and I look forward to hearing your success stories.